I'm giving you a lot of updates on radioactive waste tonight, so we'll be specific to 3706 campaign. Bruce had some good slides on kind of the overview and commitments of what we've been talking about, Ed, and a lot of people referring to it. I just want to give you a quick update. I know we have a few other things to do tonight before you leave on the actual progress of how we're doing here. We've talked about the reason for 3706 is the Las Conchas fire and the concerns about Area G and the above ground waste there. We did talk about the state of New Mexico making this one of their highest priorities as far as potential risks. The thought was if there was another Las Conchas, another Sierra Grande fire, if it did jump the fire breaks, which we put a lot more work in. If you've been driving around Los Alamos, you see we've cut a lot more fire breaks in the last year. We've removed a lot more brush. Concern was that it could jump in Area G where we have the stored waste and actually have some of the waste get burned. So there was a lot of concern about that. So we did go ahead in January. A lot of you were there for that announcement. We had we presented the framework agreement and the details of that agreement. I think you've all seen a lot of this. You know, in June of 14, we have to have all the non-submitted waste out. Then in Area G in December of 14, anything that we newly generated waste, and Bob was talking about that earlier today, anything we receive between now and June of 14, we have to have out of Area G by December of 14. So the newly generated waste, as we get the new TA 63 facility up and operational to receive the true waste, the air enduring facility to support the mission. We will have to have that waste out, any waste we receive in that time period. And what we're working on real hard right now is the December deliverable for this year, and the December deliverable for this year to the state is actually going to be the plan for getting all of Area G closed. So getting all the waste out, the below grade waste that we have to retrieve and ship to the WIPP facility, all the above grade waste. So that plan's being pulled together now, and we're going to launch that, and it's due to the state in December. Our thought was we would go ahead and start presenting that plan at the end of November at your last CAB meeting. So we would kind of do things a little bit like we did in January, and go to the CAB, look to you folks as our principal outlet, and present that plan to you, and kind of do, again, the same process. What I was going to go over tonight real quickly is this is what's posted. I know you can't read this. We're going to get into it in a little bit of detail. This is what's actually posted on the web page. It's on the state's web page for MED, and it's on the lab web page, and it's our quarterly report. So what I did is I asked my staff, I actually have staff now that I have funding, asked my staff to go ahead and prepare this report and break down the report into its various sections. So when you look at this report, at the top of the page, when you look at the quarterly report, we give you some highlights of what happened in this quarter. Now, we did do a special update tonight, so this is data as of May 27th. So we monitor things pretty closely as far as progress. So what you'll see on the quarterly report, and this is again updated to today, so it's a little bit of a special report for you guys, is our shipment facility is a status of where we're at, that we've done 126 shipments this year for the calendar year. We really think we're going to break 200. Our target was 184. We think we're actually going to break about 200. The Wicker facility, where I repackaged some of the higher wattage drums. And again, why are we repackaging the drums? We're repackaging the drums because when they originally packaged over a decade ago, the WIPP facility didn't exist. The waste acceptance criteria didn't exist. So we have to go through and repackage to meet the waste acceptance criteria. We've been generating true waste for a very long time. And again, the WIPP facility's been open a little over a decade. So a lot of this waste wasn't really packaged originally to be compliant. That means there may be some free liquids in there that we have to take out, some aerosol cans, and some other things that are prohibited to go to the WIPP facility. So we have the higher facility at Wicker, where we run the higher activity drums. I have another line right now that's the box line that We have standard waste boxes that also need to be repackaged. And they'll hold 4 drums, but a lot of these boxes were direct loaded with waste, which we're allowed to do. And we have to go through and repackage those again to the WIPP compliance, their WIPP waste acceptance criteria. Things are going to really pick up here in this next quarter because we've taken the 231 drum line, we've taken that offline. It was operational for several years, repackaging drums, and we've now converted it into a box line. So we have fiberglass reinforced boxes, plywood boxes that contain things like glove boxes and furnaces and other large pieces of equipment we've been storing, waiting for a larger box line to come on board so we can repackage them, break them down, and ship them out. So that'll give me a lot of volume with that new box line. And then we also have this other line coming on board, and both of these lines, 231 and 375, for repackaging boxes, I'm hoping to go operational in the August timeframe. Some of these boxes that I'm taking to the 375 box line are about half the size of this room. They are huge boxes that take a 50-ton forklift to move around. The 375 box line is the largest Permacon. This is the company that makes these enclosures for contamination control. This is the largest containment they've ever built. So it's the world's largest Permacon. We actually have people go into the facility in fresh air, in respirators, in their yellow contamination suits, and they are going to disassemble these boxes by hand, repackage those to be compliant. So this is, both these lines will give me a lot of volume. Then we give you an update on the central characterization project. Those are the Carlsbad folks that actually certify the waste to go to WIPP. We have an independent team that does that. Here we've talked about, we're direct loading waste boxes, which is something new that we've done. So it's a lot easier if we have the standard waste boxes that'll hold 4 drums. If we can direct load those, it makes a lot easier on the crews. It makes things go faster. If I don't have to break something down that fits in a drum now, if I have to break something that fits in a much larger container, it makes things a little easier. And it also talks about the number of containers. Here we have 326 containers that are approved in the waste system, so I have over 300 containers that are ready to go to WIPP right now that we're shipping. And I have another 693 containers waiting to be shipped. Now that's a good backlog, and what that does when I have a backlog like that, the WIPP folks can take some very hot drums and mix them in those casks with low-level drums. So the object here is to be efficient in shipping. So if I can take some of those direct loaded boxes and put them in with some of my hotter boxes from the WIPP facility, now I can maximize the amount of activity in one of those shipping containers that you see on the road and the volume. So that's real important for us to be efficient. Down here at the bottom, when you're looking at these tables, you can see what I've done for the third quarter. So far this quarter, we've done 200 cubic meters. For the year, we've done almost 450 cubic meters. And we also translate this because it's easier, I think, for the public, and you guys tell me, cubic meter, I have trouble visualizing what a cubic meter is. But if I tell you that we repacked for this year so far, for this quarter, we repacked over 982 drum equivalents. I think everybody can visualize 900 drums and how much work that really is. And then the actual cumulative to date, we've done over 2,100 drums this year, repackaged and certified for WIPP. So you can show that we're really starting to work on this campaign. From a volume standpoint, it represents about 12% of the total volume that we're going to have to work through for this campaign. And we also give you projections for next quarter. We think by the end of the fiscal year, October 1st, we'll have a little over 20% of the waste repackaged and shipped out. And also the radioactivity, I'd like you to take note of that. 12% doesn't sound like a huge number, but what we've done is we've gone after the high activity containers, and in the first 2 quarters, we've gotten rid of over 25% of the total activity on the hill. So all that waste we're concerned about, the actual plutonium, the actual grams of plutonium, we've gotten rid of over 25%, and we're hoping to have half of that, 54%, over half of that, off the hill by October. So we're going after the activity first, and then we're going to go after the volume second. So let's get rid of the risk, and then let's go after the rest of the volume.